Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gillian Peters and I'm Business Development Director of CPA Ireland and Master of Ceremonies for today's event. You're all very welcome to today's webinar on the professional opportunities for Institute of Chartered Accountants of India members in Ireland. I'm joined by a very impressive panel of speakers, including Vice President of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Mr. Aniket Tilati, our guest of honour, His Excellency Akhilesh Mishra, Honourable Ambassador of India to Ireland, colleagues, my own colleagues, Chief Executive Eamon Siggins and Business Development Executive Caroline Maloney of CPA Ireland, Kelsey Larkin, Business Development Manager with Visa First, based here in Ireland, and finally, ICAI member Sachin Gupta, who's Chairman of the Ireland chapter of the Institute of Chartered Accountants India. Firstly, I'd like to hand you over to Vice President Aniket Tilati for opening address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gillian, for the wonderful start. His Excellency, Mr. Akhilesh Mishra, the Honourable Ambassador of India to Ireland. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing this occasion. We are truly privileged to have you in this very important program that CPA Ireland and ICAI are hosting. It's always a pleasure, sir, to have the embassy always support the initiatives that the ICAI has taken, and we are truly grateful to the entire Ministry of External Affairs team, which has been so helpful in ensuring that ICAI is able to not only take the MOUs forward, but also in terms of setting up our chapters abroad. So, sir, truly grateful to you once again. Thank you very much, sir, for joining. Mr. Eamon Siggins, the Chief Executive of CPA Ireland, Ms. Kelsey Larkin, Business Development Manager at Visa First, Ms. Caroline Maloney, the Business Development Executive at CPA Ireland, CS Sachin Gupta ji, who's the chairman of our Dublin chapter of ICAI, who's also joining us, and of course the team of International Affairs of the Institute, who are all here. A very, very good evening to you and greetings to everybody attending from India. It gives me immense pleasure to be present in this special webinar, which is being organized, I believe, for the first time between ICAI and CPA Ireland. As we are all aware, Ireland is one of the fastest growing economies in the European Union. And therefore, it becomes even more important for us as ICAI and, of course, as CPA Ireland to have this webinar at the right time. Let me tell you, as Vice President of the Institute, that the ICAI has grown in leaps and bounds in terms of our inception in 1949. We are celebrating 73 years of our profession. And in these 73 years, we have expanded from our head office in Delhi to over 164 branches across the country. We have 5 regional councils. But more importantly, what is extremely important for us is our presence in 75 global cities through our 44 overseas chapters and 31 representative offices. And through these 75 cities, we are actually today present in 47 countries of the world. So that has ensured that our membership of over 350,000 and student strength in excess of 750,000 is not just restricted to the borders of India, but under the leadership of our Honourable Prime Minister, who has given us a global vision of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is a cultural phenomena in India which says that the world is a family and the entire world for us in India is to be seen as one family. And when we consider the world to be a kutumb or family, I think it is very important for us to engage with other professional bodies. In this regard, ICAI has signed MOUs, that is Memorandums of Understanding, and MRAs, which are Mutual Recognition Agreements, with 20 professional accountancy institutes, and we collaborate with them, work together, and this has given benefits to our entire membership of 350,000 members. In fact, I'm very proud to mention that our partnership with CPA Ireland dates back to 2010, and it's one of the first MOU MRAs that ICAI has entered into, and both institutes are working in collaboration for mutual cooperation. As I said, Ireland is one of the fastest growing economies of the European Union, and therefore the demand for professional accountants there has been extremely high. Through the Pathways program that you are offering for our members of ICAI, where 3 examinations, I believe, are only required for chartered accountants to appear in Irish taxation Irish Law and Strategy, which are in online mode. These 3 examinations, once our chartered accountants are able to clear these exams, they are awarded with the certification by CPA Ireland. And therefore, large number of chartered accountants of ours have already working in Dublin and other parts of Ireland. And I'm sure through this conference, through this very useful interaction that we are going to have today, we are going to have more chartered accountants taking up this Pathways program so that we get involved more with Ireland. Extremely happy to see our representative in Dublin, Ireland, Sachin Gupta ji, who's the chairman and our leader there in Dublin. I remember this chapter was opened in February 2019, and the then Honourable Ambassador had also been there to grace the occasion. Today, there are more than 150, close to 150 members in Ireland who are working there, and I'm sure that with this presence, not just the bond between the ICAI and CPA Ireland, but more importantly between India and Ireland is also strengthening and moving further. I would like to only at the end mention to all my colleagues of CPA Ireland, my chartered accountant friends in Dublin and in Ireland, that this year your country, your ICAI has been privileged to host the World Congress of Accountants, commonly known as the Olympics of Accounting Profession, because once in 4 years, the World Congress is organized. And I think in the first time in the 118-year history of the World Congress, this is coming to South Asia and more importantly to India, in Mumbai, where we are going to have from 18th of November to the 21st of November, the celebration of the accountancy profession with ICAI and India being the host. And I would invite all of you at CPA Ireland, my chartered accountant friends there, to please come. We have had 2 years of COVID where we've had very restricted travel. So I'm sure a lot of you are eager to come and explore the beautiful country of India. And let me only say that this year is special for India. We are celebrating the 75th year of our independence. It is known as the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So it's the golden era for India, 75 years post-independence that we are celebrating as a country. And in this year, it's going to be a matter of pride for ICAI to host the World Congress of Accountants. I once again invite all of you with open arms and with the hospitality of India, which is, I'm sure, known to everybody across the world, to please visit India, to register yourselves for the World Congress and be a part of this very exciting journey of Indian accounting profession, as well as the culturally rich and rich of heritage country known as India. I thank CPA Ireland once again for having this joint conference and thank our Honourable, His Excellency, the guest of honor for today's function, Mr. Akhilesh Mishra, for gracing this occasion. And I wish all the participants of this virtual conference all the very best. Thank you, and over to you, Gillian.
Thank you, Mr. Talati. I am now delighted to introduce you to our guest of honour today, His Excellency Akhilesh Mishra, the Honourable Ambassador of India to Ireland. Thank you.
Namaskar. Very warm greetings to you all from Indian Embassy in Dublin. Let me begin by expressing my very sincere thanks and gratitude to ICAI and our esteemed friends from CPA Ireland, including Eamon Higgins and his very dynamic team for conceiving this very interesting webinar. And I'm very happy to be part of it. Friends, I'm an engineer. I have done BTech and MTech as my professional studies. And as engineer, I naturally have a deep affinity and partnership with accounting professionals. And as Foreign Service Officer, I had great privilege of working together with ICAI and their counterpart institutions. In every country, I had privilege of working as India's diplomat. So it's a great opportunity and honor and joy for me to reconnect with you friends. And today's interaction is very significant for me. It marks a new beginning, a new facet of my own efforts as incoming ambassador of India to Ireland. as I am planning for new ways of connecting India and Ireland and strengthening and broadening our partnership. Also, friends, the timing of this webinar is very significant for me because it's a historic milestone for both India and Ireland. Ireland has completed 100 years of its independence and India is celebrating 75 years of our independence. So as ambassador, I'm in the process of deeply reviewing and retrospecting and introspecting about our past relationship with Ireland. Also in the process of strategizing the future. This 25 years of period is called Amrit Kal by our Prime Minister. When India becomes 100-year-old diplomacy, then what would be the state of India-Ireland partnership? I have to start preparing the blueprint for the next 25 years. So this is a great occasion for us to sit back, brainstorm together and think about a broader strategy. Again, looking at the past experience, I'm very privileged that our two countries have had a tradition of extremely rich, extremely close and cordial friendship between our people based on mutual respect, mutual affection and deep sense of solidarity by the people and affection and caring. And Ireland has made deep impact on India during our freedom struggle, during our drafting of constitution, and also very formidable Irish dignitaries like Annie Besant or Margaret Cousins and Sister Nivedita, whose Irish name was Margaret Noble. They played a very profound role in mobilizing political social consciousness in India. Also, the friendship between Rabindranath Tagore and W.B. Yeats, both Nobel Prize winners in due course, again, is an icon of India-Ireland friendship. And W.B. Yeats was very generous to write the introduction of Rabindranath Tagore's Gitanjali, which eventually was instrumental in winning of Nobel Prize to Tagore in 1913. That is a sense of sharing and supporting that we have seen from the Irish side towards our Indian dignitaries. Also, friends, but if I do an objective assessment of current level of overall engagement between our two countries, I get a mixed picture. We have about 50,000 strong Indian diaspora in Ireland. They are working in almost all key areas of economy here in Ireland. We also have 6,500 Indian students. India is the largest source of foreign students in Ireland, mostly for master's and PhD courses. And about 46% of work permits given in 2021 went to Indian professionals. So there's a very active and upwardly engagement between India and Ireland in the people and professional sectors. But in the trade sector, I feel it's a much below potential. The two-way trade between India and Ireland is only about 1.1 billion euros. And to put it in perspective, Ireland's two-way trade in merchandise goods is $267 billion. And goods and services trade by the two-way trade in services is about 3.8 billion euros. Whereas Ireland's two-way services trade is 550 billion euros. And our trade figures are also quite significant. Like this year, our export has crossed $400 billion. So considering the scale of our economies, considering the scale of our export and imports, the current level of India-Ireland engagement is very small. Similarly, the investment from Ireland to India is about 1 billion euros, and less than that would be India's investment in Ireland. So I think there's need for new churning on both sides about what to do. Again, I'm new to Ireland, and based on my limited understanding, I think there is a huge lack of awareness about Ireland's stunning transformation in India. Just think of a 5 million strong population, but churning out economy of $500 billion, second richest per capita income in the European Union, about $100,000 per capita GDP. Biggest per capita technology hub, about 1,700 multinational companies operating in Ireland. 9 out of 10 top ICT companies have a significant presence in Ireland. 13 out of 15 top medical devices are in Ireland. 9 out of 10 top pharmaceutical companies have made Ireland either their global or European headquarters. 40% of aircrafts leased worldwide are handled from Ireland. Ireland also has a very vibrant startup ecosystem. 6 unicorns and 2 unicorns came up only in January this year. In whole of Europe, Ireland is first or second largest exporter of medical devices, of pharmaceutical products, dairy products, data processing machinery, and specialized nutrition products. With just 1% of European Union's population, Ireland accounts for 5% of Ireland's export of manufactured goods. And post-Brexit, Ireland's location and connectivity has become extremely important for the whole world, because Ireland not only opens the gateway to 450 million European customers, but also equally importantly, a kind of bridge to US and Canada. So this is one side of the picture, which the great story that Ireland presents, I'm afraid not many people in India have been aware of what has happened in Ireland. And I must share that the same level of reciprocal lack of awareness I see in Ireland as well. Because the perception of India has been largely shaped by Mother Teresa and other Irish missionaries who have gone to India and who thrive on selling the slums and the lowest end of Indian population so that they can generate as more and more charity funds. But that distorts the overall picture of India. India today, friends, is the third largest economy in purchasing power parity. It's about $11.5 trillion. India is the fastest growing major economy, fastest growing G20 economy. Even after Ukraine crisis, IMF projection is that our economy will grow by 8.2%. Also, our exports crossed $400 billion for the first time. Last year, we received $82 billion of FDI, $87 billion of foreign remittances. And our foreign exchange reserves have crossed $430 billion, fourth largest in the world. We have about 70,000 startups, third largest in the world. 92 unicorns and 46 unicorns came up only in 1 year, 2021. In this year, almost 1 unicorn is being created every week. So there is a very, very dynamic transformation that Indian economy and tech scene, particularly innovation driven, that is going through in India. Also, I see there is a huge complementary strengths that Ireland and India enjoy, whether it is in IT and pharmaceuticals, in medtech, in agri-tech, in fintech, in food and nutrition products, AI, in Internet of Things, in cyber and digital security, in aerospace and MRO, in renewable energy, marine economy, education and skilling, green hydrogen, offshore wind energy, circular economy, audiovisual and entertainment and films. We both have unique strengths in every segment I'm studying these days. Friends, what to do? There is definitely a need for a purposeful, focused, sustained action to make sure that our relationship is deeper, broader. And just as in Buddhism, there is a saying that just by seeing a doctor or just by knowing the names of the medicine will not cure you. Nor having the route map will ensure that you actually reach the destination. We need action. And action has to be grounded, granular, and bottom-up approach. Secondly, it has to be a broader multi-sectoral engagement. B2B, to begin with, it could be knowledge sharing and networking. And again, to begin with, I feel we can do with virtual conversations so that we get to know each other, get to understand opportunities and potential for synergizing our efforts. Third, I think it's very important that we move beyond Delhi and Dublin-centric dialogue. Ireland is far more vibrant. Like Ireland, I have been to many counties and I feel so fascinated that every county, every region is bustling with creativity and developing its own very unique cluster of strengths. Similarly, India is much bigger than Delhi and we have a lot of provinces and every province is carving up its unique areas of strength. We need actually group of friends in different counties of Ireland and also different states of India who act as kind of connectors and points to go to between India and Ireland. Coming to ICAI and CPA itself, I'm sure that your friendship can play a huge role that I'm envisioning for friends in Ireland and India to really transform the nature and depth of our partnership. I know that modern accountancy profession is not just counting, not just creative arithmetic or counting of a lot of money, but it has become very multidimensional and enjoys pervasive reach and unparalleled connectivity and unmatched deep insight of every sector of economy and society and business. So I think accounting and financial sector is actually a life force which sustains the economy, sustains the society. So ICAI and CPI, I think I will suggest 3 action points. First is we need ICAI and CPA Ireland to work as kind of conduit for sharing of experience and innovation and cutting edge methodologies even in the field of accountancy and how new challenges are emerging in this profession itself. So one is within this profession, the sharing of experience, sharing of new approaches to deal with emerging challenges because of complexity of technology and cyber issues. So this is one area between this segment itself. Second is your linkage can serve as a catalyst and platform for multiple conversation exchanges between India and Ireland, sector by sector. You are insider in every sector, and therefore you can play the role of connecting a kind of bridge for our both countries to have a dialogue in each sector that I mentioned. Third is you can also give it because you know everything what is happening in Ireland, you know everything what is happening in India at a very granular level. You can also share information, act as nuclei of friendship for each other and help mobilize business delegations in niche areas. Lastly, friends, in the Indian Embassy, we are very excited to see the opportunities that we have between our two countries. And I'm personally always at your disposal to do anything, to assist, to guide, to provide inputs, and also do the matchmaking, connecting people on both sides. And I can assure you, I have 24 hours every day, all 7 days. And with your support, I'm willing to stretch it to 48 hours a week, 48 hours a day, 7 days. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador, for highlighting the unique strengths between our two countries. I certainly learned a lot about India and I have to say Ireland today during your presentation. So thank you very much for that. Next to present is my colleague, Chief Executive of CP Ireland, Damon Siggins, who will share with you information on the MRA itself between the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and CP Ireland, and information on the pathway to becoming a member of CPA Ireland. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gillian. And thank you so much, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Ambassador, for your presence here today, which enriches this relationship between CPA Ireland and between the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And thank you, Ambassador, for selling Ireland so knowledgeably and so eloquently. And you have described a very sophisticated economy on a small country which is green and open and which has space and clean air and lots going for it. And I think most importantly is an English-speaking country within the European Union, which is really welcoming and has seen the population of Indian nationals choosing to live and work in Ireland grow to almost 50,000. And my message today is we have room for more. And I was very pleased to hear the Vice President refer to the first signing of an MRA between ICAI India and CPA Ireland. And I'm happy to say that 12 years ago, I signed that MRA on behalf of CPA Ireland, which are past presidents, Amarjit Chopra and Ved Jain, two wonderful professionals and two gentlemen. I should also say that, Ambassador, that ICAI India is unique amongst global professional bodies. To my knowledge, it is the only professional body that has put such an ambitious plan in place to ensure that members of ICAI India can live and work and have their qualifications recognized overseas. And through all of those international chapters that the Vice President spoke about, ICAI India has such a global presence. And of course, we in Ireland are very supportive of the ICAI India Irish chapter, which is very capably chaired by our colleague Sachin Gupta. So, but why is it that today we are having this very first engagement around opportunities in Ireland? And that's because for those of you in the audience today, we actually have a critical shortage of accountants in Ireland. And you will hear from my colleagues, Caroline and from Kelsey, how that, you know, the opportunities that are here in Ireland and how one can seek employment and gain employment in Ireland. But a part of the rationale behind this particular program today is that we're facing a critical shortage, and that, of course, presents wonderful opportunities for talented chartered accountants who have the right skills and attitude to come to Ireland. By way of background, we have 42,000 accountants in Ireland. The professional bodies that operate in Ireland qualify, on average, about 1,600 new accountants per annum. But in 2020, that just satisfied 80% of our needs, and 20%, a further 320 accountants came into Ireland from overseas and are now living and working in Ireland. And as the Ambassador has said, the economy is recovering rapidly. Despite the problems emanating from the war in Ukraine, Ireland is still the fastest growing economy in the European Union, and that demand for accountants is growing. So let me talk to you about the action steps that individual accountants can take to join CPA Ireland and to become a member of CPA Ireland. And why I think this is important is that in distinguishing any candidate in the employment market in Ireland, I believe that a candidate who holds the two most powerful designations in the world, Chartered Accountant, CA, and CPA, has a much better chance of standing out from the crowd when coming into this jurisdiction. Secondly, I believe that where an Indian Chartered Accountant becomes a member of CPA Ireland, they are showing a tremendous commitment to the profession in the country in which they want to live and work. And they're showing any prospective employer that they want to remain contemporary, they want to remain up to date, and they want to remain skilled in those aspects of the profession that are important in this jurisdiction in Ireland. So the process was designed with simplicity in mind and with respect in mind. And that respect is based on the premise that each applicant is already a qualified accountant and holds a very prestigious qualification in India. And there is a four-step process, all of which can be completed from wherever any member is sitting right now. Everything can happen online. So it doesn't matter what part of the world the Indian Chartered Accountant is sitting in, you can complete this process with CPA Ireland online. And there are 4 steps. And the first step is just simply email documentation to us. And that documentation includes, as you can see, a letter of good standing, which our colleagues in the International Affairs Department in ICAI India, under the auspices of Mudit, our good colleague, will provide very efficiently. We require 2 written letters of reference. They speak to the technical competence of the applicant, but also the reputation of the applicant, because in Ireland and in the European Union, there is this formula of words that professional accountants should be of good repute. So the reputation is very important, as well as the technical competence. Those letters of reference should ideally come from members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And if they come from a current or previous employer, they're all the more powerful. And then finally, of course, we need identification, and that can come in the form of a scan of a passport or a scan of a driving license. And finally, a scan of the membership certificate of ICAI India. And your Vice President referred to the tests that are required to complete the programme for admission to membership of CPA Ireland. I refer to these as tests and not to examinations. So I want you to airbrush any reference to the word examination, because these tests are designed based on a comparison between both syllabi, and they acknowledge that all Indian chartered accountants are already experts in taxation as it applies in India. They're already experts in law as it applies for accountants in India. And these are just to top up on the points of difference between Irish tax and law and Indian tax and law. And so the full texts are provided to each candidate. And then there is a series of multiple choice questions which basically ensure that the candidate has read and understood these points of difference. And each of the programs runs to about 36 pages of text. As I said, a series of multiple choice questions, an 80% pass mark. And the really good news is that we haven't experienced anybody yet from ICAI India who has encountered any difficulty achieving the tests. There is obviously an online MRA application form which brings all of this together, and then an administration fee. And if any member has any queries about this whatsoever, we have a dedicated email address at mra@cpaireland.ie. And if you take any note today, just take note of that simple email address, and we will be there. Not like the ambassador, we won't promise 48 hours a day response, but we'll go as close as we can, ambassador, to do that. Yeah. And do bear in mind that it's lunchtime in Ireland and early evening in India as we speak. So who does this apply to? Because like every sophisticated mutual recognition agreement, there are terms and conditions, and these apply in both directions. But for members of ICAI India, must be a holder of a recognised degree, it's a university degree from India, or at least 5 years work experience, and then have successfully completed, obviously, the ICAI examinations, the practical experience requirements of ICAI, and any other requirements that may be prescribed by ICAI in terms of becoming a member and being admitted to ICAI membership. Finally, then, one must be a member in good standing and not currently subject to any disciplinary sanctions or investigation, and have not been subject to any disciplinary sanctions in the past 5 years. And I want to assure everybody that this applies in both directions in the MRA. And it's a matter for the member to self-declare in the application form, but also ICAI India give confirmation of that in the letter that comes, the letter of good standing that comes from ICAI India. Everything that you need to know about becoming a member of CPA Ireland is available on our website. And if you just look at our website, go to About CPA and into International Recognition Agreements, or just hit the search button on our website and simply put in India, and you will be brought right to this base. I know our colleagues in ICAI India who are administering and in the background of this webinar are taking questions. But from our part at CPA Ireland, if and should any members of ICAI India have any questions about the process, please feel free to use that dedicated email address, and that we will do our best to respond to you as quickly as possible. So just by way of closing, let me recap. There are wonderful opportunities for members in Ireland at the moment. In our opinion, those who hold both qualifications stand out and distinguish themselves in the marketplace. We stand absolutely shoulder to shoulder with our colleagues in ICAI India, and I can assure you, Mr. Ambassador, that we do collaborate in the international profession. We are both founding members of a group called the Edinburgh Group, which represents almost 1 million accountants worldwide. We work together in the International Federation of Accountants. And I know from personal experience, having visited ICAI India on at least 6 occasions, spoken at your wonderful conferences in India, that our colleagues in the Indian profession will do a wonderful job in hosting the World Congress of Accountants, and they deserve to host it. Thank you, Gillian. I'm going to stop sharing and move back to you.
Thank you very much, Eamon. I am now going to hand you over to another colleague of mine, Caroline Maloney, who's our Business Development Executive with CP Ireland. And Caroline's going to share with you the employment opportunities for Institute of Chartered Accountants India members in Ireland. Thank you, Caroline.
Thanks, Jill. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone is keeping well today. So as Jill said, my name is Caroline, and I work on the business development team at CP Ireland. Today, I'm just going to talk you through employment opportunities in Ireland for ICAI India members. I'm also going to talk you through the current Irish employment market, skills needed to succeed in a career in accountancy and finance in Ireland, and also some tips around how to tailor your CV to the Irish market. So first of all, just a snapshot of what the current Irish employment market looks like at the moment. As Eamon has pointed out, we are experiencing a massive accountancy skills shortage in Ireland, so much so that accountancy was actually added to the critical skills list in 2016. Currently in Ireland, it is very much a candidate-driven market. Since the COVID restrictions were removed, we've seen an influx of roles or an influx of accounting positions. You only have to look at, I suppose, some of the job boards like LinkedIn and Irish Jobs, and you will see so many different accountancy and finance positions advertised. There's an abundance of them. At the moment for accountants in Ireland, they're very much in a strong position. They can cherry pick roles essentially based on their preferences. They can decide whether they want to move a role for an increase in salary, whether they might want career progression, or maybe they're just looking for another bit of flexibility like a working from home option. There are both permanent and contract positions on offer in Ireland. However, we are seeing with some of the multinationals that they are favouring contract positions at the moment. But the good news is they're actually turning to permanent positions at a very, very fast rate. Salaries as well have also increased due to the demand for accountancy candidates. Salaries in Ireland depends as which county you secure your role in. The likes of Dublin and Cork tend to have higher salaries, and maybe some of the rural counties will sort of have lower salaries. Again, salaries will be dependent on the company and the role that you apply for. Salaries at the moment for accountants looking to, I suppose, continue their career here in Ireland, salaries will range from around 45,000 to 55,000 per annum. You can expect with these salaries as well to receive a benefits package. Again, what's included in your benefits package will depend on the company that you're working for, but benefits on offer at the moment include the likes of pension, healthcare, flexibility, remote working, learning and development, bike to work. But again, it is dependent on the company that you work for. So again, there are some roles that are in particular demand here in Ireland at the moment. These roles include the role of financial analyst, financial accountant, practice accountant, and accounts payable and receivable positions. I know some of your fellow ICAI members are working, all over Ireland in some of these roles, which is fantastic to see. At CP Ireland, we have strong relationships, I suppose, with employers nationwide. And from our experience with, I suppose, the recruitment process, employers do favour candidates who are here in Ireland or who have relocated to Ireland. So what I would say, if you're considering, a career in accountancy in Ireland, is if you have an option to relocate, you will be in a more favourable position when it comes to securing a role. So again, I'm just going to highlight what skills are needed here in Ireland to have a successful career in accountancy. Employers generally are looking for accountancy and finance professionals with a broad skill set. And that really, it doesn't differ whether you're looking for a role in a multinational, if you're looking for a role in practice, or you're looking for a role in SME. When I'm saying broad skill set, I mean strong, I suppose, technical experience and also strong soft skills like communication or presentation skills. In fact, I have seen candidates recently secure roles based solely on their strong soft skills. So I can't emphasise the importance of having a really good soft skill set. Obviously, if you're coming to work in Ireland, strong English language skills are an absolute must, both verbal and written skills. You will need to be able to communicate effectively with your colleagues, your leadership team, your clients, but also be able to communicate financial data across the business you work in. Communication skills are actually the most in-demand skills in the moment among accountancy professionals. Employers really look for good communication skills when they're hiring accountants. Obviously, you will need to be, able to communicate that financial data to the business in sort of an easy to digest manner, because a lot of people within the organisation might not be as number savvy as yourself. So you need to be confident with your communication skills. Data analytics, I suppose, no surprise, is also a big in-demand skill here at the moment. Accountants need to have theoretical and practical knowledge around data and analytics. IT skills, a number of employers will look for really good IT skills among the candidates at the interview. This can range from qualified accountants having, I suppose, enhanced knowledge around Excel, QuickBooks and ERP systems, but that's today just a few. So if you are thinking about, I suppose, taking the next step and maybe, looking at a career in accountancy in Ireland, I just highlight a few of my sort of top tips on how to, I suppose, tailor your CV. First of all, I would advise you to highlight your name and your contact information at the top of your CV. If you do have a LinkedIn profile, which I'm sure most of you do, make sure you include your personalised URL within your CV. Also, if you are located in Ireland, make sure to include your address, because obviously, as I said before, it is very attractive to employers if you are located over here. Also, a good thing would be to outline your work permit status, especially if you are eligible to work in Ireland. Another thing would be to keep your CV brief, maximum 2 pages. I certainly wouldn't go above the 2-page mark. Recruiters and employers in Ireland generally have scanned CVs in seconds. So again, keeping it clear and concise is definitely the way to go. And also a tip would be to tailor your CV for every position you apply for. Have a look at the job spec. Look at the keywords within the job spec. Make sure that your CV includes these keywords. The reason why is because your CV normally will go through an applicant tracking system. And again, this system will pull out keywords to match that job spec. So obviously, if you have your keywords in there, you are more likely, again, to secure an interview. Again, as Eamon has mentioned, the importance of the chartered and CPA designation within your CV. As we've said, the CPA designation is widely respected with employers in Ireland. So definitely, again, have it listed first as well as your chartered qualification as well. So thank you, and happy to answer any questions at the end.
Thank you very much, Caroline. I'm now going to hand you over to Kelsey Larkin, who's Business Development Manager at Visa First, who are based here in Ireland. Over to you, Kelsey. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Gillian. Just share the screen there. Yeah, thanks for the introduction there, Gillian. And as Gillian said, my name is Kelsey Larkin, and I joined Visa First in 2019. And we specialise in all things Irish work permits and visas. To give a brief introduction to Visa First is a leading provider of visa processing and immigration services for both corporates and individuals. And our service removes the hassle and the uncertainty and time associated with arranging Irish work permits and visas. I suppose the most important thing that we do is make sure that people coming to work in Ireland have the right to live and work here in Ireland. I suppose as today's webinar is focusing on Indian accountants, I'll try to provide as much information as possible on what's involved for an Indian accountant to achieve the right to live and work in Ireland. I suppose before we get into that, I wanted to briefly touch on the accountancy skills shortage in Ireland and some of the conversations that we've been having with our partners who are trying to fill vacancies and grow their teams. At the moment, Visa First is working with companies across several different industries, some of them in the accountancy and finance field. And I'd say in the past year or even more, the resounding message from Irish employers is that there's a hugely significant accountancy skills shortage here in Ireland, and has become almost impossible for them to fill positions and crucial positions. A survey was carried out in January 2020 and showed that 62% of employers reported a significant skills gap within the industry. And I suspect now, 2 years later, that number is even higher now post-COVID. I suppose the reasons for the skills shortage, I won't go into too much as I am conscious of time. But I will say I do think COVID has a part to play in the increased shortage in recent years. Most companies now are offering flexible working. And the ones who are not offering that, I think they're struggling the most to compete within the talent market. I think the good news here for ICAI members is that Irish employers are now more open than ever to looking overseas for candidates to fill positions. I mean, we've always had the big Irish employers and companies, and they've always hired people from India or other non-European countries, and in large volumes every year. But the interesting thing here is that now hundreds of Irish companies who have never hired from India or other European countries are now having to, I suppose, familiarise themselves with the Irish work permit process to fill positions. So that's, I suppose, a really exciting thing for ICAI members today. So in general, to work in Ireland as an Indian accountant, there's a couple of steps to follow. The main steps are securing an Irish permit, securing an Irish employment visa, or we call that the Irish entry visa, and then INIS registration. So that would be getting your IRP card, which is your Irish residency permit. As Caroline mentioned, in 2016, the Irish government added accountants to the critical skills occupation list, which made Indian accountants eligible for employment in Ireland. The critical skills work permit is the permit that Indian accountants are eligible to apply for if they fulfill the requirements. The critical skills permit is the permit that everyone wants because it's valid for 2 years, and after 21 months of employment, you can apply for the stamp 4, which gives you permission to work in Ireland without having to obtain a work permit. So the eligibility requirements for obtaining an Irish work permit are very important. So you must have a job offer from an employer in Ireland. So you cannot apply for a critical skills work permit unless you have a job offer. So that's very important to remember before you start the process. The minimum salary has to be €32,000 per year. You also have to have a relevant degree. So we would see people who have degrees in accounting, finance, commerce, and other sorts of fields, and these would all be eligible. The last requirement then would be for an Indian accountant to have the completed membership of ICAI. The good news here is there's a mutual recognition between ACAI and CPA Ireland, which means an Indian accountant can become a member of CPA and enjoy all of the brilliant benefits the CPA has to offer. So the requirements again there, we need a job offer with a salary of at least €32,000 per year, a relevant degree, and membership of ICAI. So what does the work permit process look like? So once you've received a job offer from an employer in Ireland, you can start the process. At Visa First, we usually start with the free eligibility test, and we'd use your CV and your job description to determine if you're eligible for a critical skills work permit. When it's confirmed that you are eligible, the application process can begin. We would provide a full list of documents that's required from you as the applicant and from your employer. I suppose once we've gathered all of those documents, our work permit specialist checks everything to make sure everything is in order to ensure a successful application. Then once we think everything is okay, we submit the application on behalf of your employer. So the important thing here is processing times. So in terms of the processing times, there's two types of employers. There's a trusted partner employer and a standard employer. So the processing time is a little bit faster for the trusted partners. At the moment, those processing times are about 12 weeks. And then for a standard employer, it's about 14 weeks. We are expecting those processing times to improve shortly, the next couple of weeks or months even, when the department starts to work through the backlog from 2021. So I suppose then when you have your work permit application that's been submitted, so what's the next step? So for Indian passport holders, your next step will be to obtain an Irish employment visa or an Irish entry visa. The thing is, you can only apply for your Irish visa once your work permit has been approved. So that's an important thing to keep in mind there. At Visa First, we usually submit your work permit application, and then we have 12 weeks wait time. But in those 12 weeks, we prepare the Irish entry visa application so that the moment the work permit is approved, you're ready to apply for your Irish entry visa. It's important to note here as well, the Irish entry visa that's submitted locally in India. And the Irish work permit, I suppose, gives you the right to work in Ireland. But as an Indian passport holder, you also need an Irish visa to enter the country. So that's just important to keep in mind there. So let's say in terms of the processing times, we have 12 weeks from when your permit is submitted. Then it's usually 4 to 6 weeks for the Irish entry visa. So let's say then that's 16 weeks, then you have your permit and your visa, and then you can relocate to Ireland. So you're talking 16 weeks really from when it fully starts. So when you land in Ireland with your entry visa in your passport and your work permit in hand, the border officer will usually stamp your visa with a date, and that's the date that you have to complete INIS registration, which is the Irish residency permit for the IRP card. You have to make an appointment with INIS, and after you attend the appointment, you'll be issued with your IRP card. The cost of registration with INIS is €300. And it will the card will state what type of permission you have in Ireland, whether you live and work and so on. It will state your validity. They're usually valid for 1 year, and they have to be renewed each year that you spend in Ireland. I would say it's really important to keep an eye on the validity of your IRP card, because if it expires while you're still in Ireland, you haven't applied for a new one, you'll have to leave Ireland, reapply for an entry visa, re-enter Ireland and start the whole process again. So it's really important to keep an eye on the validity. I would say when you've 1 to 2 months left validity on your IRP card, start the renewal process. So I suppose that's a summary of the most common route to obtaining the right to live and work in Ireland, but definitely not the only way to live and work in Ireland. It's also very common for people to come to Ireland on a study visa or to come as a student, complete exams to become a qualified accountant, and then secure employment and then secure a critical skills work permit. We would also see a lot of people coming over to Ireland as training accountants and securing employment, and then starting work on a general work permit, and then after a certain amount of time graduating then to the critical skills work permit. So that's not the route I just went through, is definitely not the only route. There's plenty of options. But I suppose that's kind of the main one that we would see. But yeah, just before I hand back over to Gillian, I just wanted to say, if you have any questions, you can please feel free to email us. My email address there, klarkin@visafirst.com or info@visafirst.com. If you have any questions about the work permit process or getting the right to live and work in Ireland, we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Kelsey. Maybe it might be worthwhile just popping that email address into the chat function as well, so people might have access to it. So last but not least, I am going to hand you over to your fellow ICAI member, Sachin Gupta, who is chairman of the Ireland chapter here in Ireland. And Sachin is going to give you some insights into living and working in Ireland. Thank you, Sachin.
Thanks very much, Gillian. Thanks very much, Vice President and Ambassador Eamon, Caroline and Kelsey, to providing the very insight knowledge how the people, ICAI members, can benefit to live in Ireland or how the life in Ireland. I'm just going to talk about a little bit. Once you've got your jobs, have secured a job, got the work permit, what is the life in Ireland like? My name is Sachin Gupta. I'm currently serving as the chairman of the ICAI Dublin chapter. I came in Ireland in 2006, so 16 years. So it's my home now. It's home for the 150 chartered accountant working in Ireland. So it is not my home. It is a home for the lots of people here. Like, one of the biggest advantage which Eamon has mentioned before as well, is Ireland is English speaking countries. If you go to any other mainland European countries, it's very easy to communicate in the business language. It is very easy to communicate with the people you meet. That makes a life big difference when you compare the Ireland with the other European mainland countries. First question will come to your mind, why I will go to the Ireland? Because it is an English speaking country which help you settle down here. It is a business language which we all speak. As an Indian chartered accountant, he speaks very well. So that's is the biggest advantage to when you come to the Ireland. And it's always help you to interact with the people, and because if you go to any Germany, France or any other countries, you have to know the local language, which can take some times and understand, or sometimes people, when you are coming to the new country, it's not easy to settle down, and when again you have to learn some new language, it makes a little bit life difficult. But that's not the case in Ireland. You come here, it is English kind of our second mother language, and we speak very well. So it helps to settle down here. Ireland is having the very vibrant Indian diaspora, as Mr. Ambassador mentioned earlier as well. Approximately 50,000 Indian people is living in Ireland. Not only Dublin, other part of the counties as well, Galway, Cork, Limerick. So it is a very big population of Indian diaspora. Most of the people are the professional colleagues. Approximately 7,000 Indian students are studying in the different part of the countries. Like, there is 4 big cities here: Cork, Dublin, Limerick, and Galway. These are the main big 4 cities. But 50% of the students or 50% of the people are living in Dublin, and the rest of the people lives in the nearby in the close counties. And you will not ever miss the India here. There is lots of association, lots of organization which celebrate all the functions, all the festival here. Like, if you go to Diwali, Eid, like any Guru Nanak Jayantis, whatever the religion or you follow or anything, you will not miss India. Those are the festivals celebrated, big occasion, because it is a big occasion for, as an Indian, to meet with other people. And not only Indian, like Irish people always, interact, comes on these events and, get the taste of the culture, how the Indian culture and the Indian food is there. So those things, and like as a young, lots of people, there is lots of Indian functions, lots of big artists come here on the music festivals, Bollywood parties, every month you will find in the nightclubs as well. if you want to go to entertainment with your spouse, with your partner or friends, there's lots of Bollywood parties organized in the lots of pubs here. So overall life is very good here. Like it's, when you think about going to the outside India, I'm going to miss the food here. Will I get is all the stuff which I need to live, because as an Indian, we love the food. There is, I think, approximately 100 restaurants are here. So you can go all the restaurants are the very famous here, or you will find the taste of the India food here. And if you need for the grocery stuff, approximately 20 to 25 online grocery shops are there, which they will deliver the food at your doorsteps, or the big supermarkets only serve the Indian community as well. So you don't need to bring anything here. Everything is available here. Like when I came in the 2006, I remember when I get married in 2007, I bring the Indian snacks in my briefcase instead of bringing the clothes. But those are the things are gone. Now you don't need to worry about anything. Everything is available. Life is very good here. People, especially the Irish people, is very friendly. Like if you want to go somewhere or you find the people, can I show me the way? They generally follow you. They generally show you. It's not, oh, take the left, right, or go there. They are so friendly, so welcoming. Like just you, it makes your life so easy to settle down here. You will not feel you came outside the world. Ireland and India, as Ambassador explained, we share very rich history. Our culture is the same. Like we Irish people are very family people. In my office, like when I was there, so I was surprised to see when I hear they call every day to their parents the same way we talk to our parents. So how mom is, how are you, dad is. So like those things, you don't feel you are living outside India. That looks like, yeah, these are the like family people. And when you invite the Irish people to your house or you go to their house, they're so welcoming. You don't feel you're gone somewhere. You always find, oh, it is my home. And like that's become my home, because when I came here, I was always thinking it might be able to move to US and UK. But after landing here 6 months, I say, no, this is the country I want to spend my whole time, because that's the country you feel as it is India. You don't feel as Ireland. And weather-wise, it is a lovely weather here. There is not so much hot. Temperature go maximum 20-25 in the summer, and in the winter it's not the cold like Canada where temperature go -40, -50. It's cool temperature 4 or 5 in the night, might be sometimes negative. Few occasions you will get a snowfall as well, but except the wind, sometimes you feel is lovely weather. Now in the summer 4 months, like from summer started from May to June, July, 3 months, but up to the August to September, you go to the mountains, hiking, it's all green. You will feel it's just you went, somewhere in the north or Himalayas or all those things, lovely mountains, like atmosphere. You feel like, oh yeah, it is a cool breeze. You don't miss things here. If you love the music or you love any sports, always something happening. Every weekend there will be some match, football match will be there, or some hurling local matches there. Music festival, big concert. Irish people love, going to the concert, the big concert. Last week there is a very famous Irish artist, Ed Sheeran, was there in the Croke Park. 80,000 people, more than maybe 80,000 people was there. It's so well organized. All those things, life is very good here. And at the last, job opportunities, Eamons and everybody is talking about, there's lots of job opportunities here. And the Kelsey has informed me about the visa. Once you have to secure a job. Once you secure a job, everything is first the Visa Ireland will take care. They will help you to get the visa. There is a couple of routes is there to how to get a job in Ireland. LinkedIn is the first things. You make a very strong LinkedIn profile, because most of the companies, they have the talent acquisition team, all the big companies in Ireland. So they prefer to get the candidate through LinkedIn. There's a few job sites is there. You can upload their CV and have a look the jobs there. As Caroline mentioned, don't make it one CV. For every job, make a different CV. Your job, see, because we work so much, we cannot put everything in the 2 CV. It's not about you have to put different things. It's just you have to make a CV tailored to the job. You have to highlight the words in the CV so that the CV, when it is scanned through the hiring manager or to the consultant or the recruiters, they can see those words which are there relating to the job specs, which really helps. And second thing, the CPI Island. If you are planning to come to the island, first things you do today or tomorrow, get registered to the CPI Island. The CPI Island always helps to get the critical skill visa. Once you are applying to a job, if you will put in your CV, you are ICAI member and you have done the CPI Island. So that's so you are intent to come to the island, because is not you are just sitting in India or just applying for a job. Once you put I have done the CPI Island, it helps the recruiting manager or to the recruiter both. Yes, you really want to come to the island or you are keen to Ireland, and that's help you to put your CV, because you have the something flag in your CV now. You are not an ICAI member, you are a CPI Island member as well. So it's give you the some colorful hat which help you to get the interview. And once you go to the interview, I'm pretty much sure we are all very professional and we'll be okay in the interview. It's just the stage to go to the interview. And the third thing is that if you want to come here, it is a higher education. Lots of Indian chartered accountants come here. They get a master degree, which give you the 2 years working visa in Ireland. So I think there is around approximately 30 or 40 chartered accountants. They have the ICAI member, CPI Ireland member, and then they have registered for a master's degree, master in finance, master in data analytics. There is a big universities are there, UCD, Trinity, Limerick, Galway. These are the universities where you can go for the master education, and then it will give you the 2 years working visa. Those master degrees only for the 10 months here. 10 months, it just fly away. You come here in September, by the time it is your exams is over, and might be in the June or July, you are going to give the thesis, and then you will get once you will get a degree, you will get 2 years work visa. And that's help you to go to the training accountant job or mid-manager jobs. After that, you will be fly. Like lots of our colleagues who started, here 2 years or 3 years back, they started, now they are in the senior position in the Big Four, in the multinational, because you need just the path to enter in the country. Once you are here, or you have a little bit Irish experience, then there is no stop. You are going to go up and up in the ladder. So those are the things is always help us. And living cost in Ireland is not is very high. So keeping that in mind, because this is country because your salary is high, so that doesn't mean your living cost is high as well. Like if you're in the sharing apartment, it will be approximately 600 to 700 per month. You will get a sharing accommodation, and if you are with the family, so you're talking about the 2,000 to 2,000 euro rent per month for a 2-bedroom apartment or a 3-bed house. If you go a little bit outskirt of the Dublin, then you can get a 3-bed house, which will going to cost 2,000 euro per month rent. And the groceries, due to inflation, little bit is high now. Approximately 300-400 euro per month you have to spend in a family. If you are a single here, 200 euro max is going to go in the groceries. And the utility will be again like your electricity, gas, and other expenses will be approximately 200 and 300 euro per month. It will not be rent is going to take lots of hit in your bank account. So that's the biggest things. Otherwise, rest of the things is fine. You will not feel like want to come here, go for CPI Island, then look for a job. It is a long process. You're not going to get a job in 2 weeks or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It might take 1 month and 2 months, but don't lose the hope, because keep yourself motivating. Yes, I have to go to the Ireland, beautiful country, and just keep applying for a job, and then it will be fine. Thank Thanks very much. This is from me, and if you need any information, you can send in the chat box, and we will be happy to ask the question. I have received a few test messages, Kelsey. I have just one small question. Can we apply for a work permit visa directly through the visa first, or we have to go through the employer only?
The employer usually has to be involved in the process because we need documents from the employer and from the candidate. Okay. So there has to be signatures and stuff from like the HR department and so on. So the employer has to be involved. Yeah.
Okay. Because a few people asking if we secure a job, can I go to the visa first directly for a work permit? My understanding is that your employer has to go to the visa first for the employment permit.
Well, the applicant can come to us themselves, but we will need them to liaise with the employer to get signatures, and like we can provide the applicant with instructions on what they need to ask the employer for. But if they want to reach out to us directly, once they have a job offer, we can help them. That's no worries at all.
Thanks. Gillian, is over to you if you have any other questions.
Thank you, Sachin. I actually do have a few questions. Caroline, I have two for you. So the first question is, what is the entry-level salary structure for professional chartered accountants after getting the CP Ireland qualification?
Well, for qualified accountants, if you're looking at coming over to Ireland and forging a career here, you'd be looking at starting at around, I'd say, 40 to 45,000, and that's going to depend really on the location that you work. We've mentioned the counties before, and you'd be obviously get a slightly larger salary in the likes of Dublin and Cork, and some of the rural areas of Ireland you might expect slightly lower. That would be for, I suppose, a qualified position. Trainee accountants, again, you would be looking at anywhere between 21 and 24,000.
Thank you very much. The second question I have for you is, what are the various areas of accountancy where opportunities lie in Ireland?
There's so many opportunities for accountants here in Ireland. I think there's big opportunities among the multinationals here in Ireland. We've got a very big, I suppose, companies coming in the FDI presence. There's opportunities like financial services, tech, pharmaceutical, all those types of companies have a lot of opportunities for qualified accountants. Also the practices as well, and they are big demand for accountants. As we said, big accountancy shortage at the moment. So there'll be likes of, practice accountants there, and also within the SME space too. So an abundance of roles.
Okay, thank you very much, Caroline. Eamon, I have question for you, and that is, with the CP Ireland qualification, can ICAI members further reach out in other European countries, say Germany, France, etc.?
Thanks, Gillian, and I'll take that. And before I do, can I just compliment Sachin on his wonderful journey through Ireland? I think the Irish government needs to recruit Sachin and take him on board for our tourism and our industrial development. And also just to say, I understand from our colleagues in ICAI India that we have about 1,600 viewers online at the moment. And to say that the wonderful network that the chapter is actually here, and how honest Sachin and his colleagues will be in terms of answering questions and helping ICAI India people coming in, and certainly that we see the members of the chapter here in Ireland really progressing their careers and in some very impressive positions after just a short number of years in Ireland. And that comes back to that progression that Sachin spoke about. Now, in terms of the European Union, as the ambassador will know, the word union is very loose, and don't think of a Europe united. Think of a union of distinct countries with distinct languages and distinct customs. And really, my answer, Gillian, is, why would one need to leave Ireland after coming to Ireland? Because it's not necessarily the people that move, it's the business that moves. And we have, and I can assure our participants that many CPAs service an international client base from here in Ireland. And the only reason that people would move would be to live and experience a different jurisdiction. And obviously that involves a different language, a different tax regime, a different legal regime. In terms of the qualification, Irish CPAs are working right throughout Europe and right around the world, as are Indian chartered accountants. And the only reason really to re-qualify in another jurisdiction would be to audit or to take on a licensed activity. But if one is providing accounting services and consulting services, strategic advice to business, whatever, one doesn't need necessarily to take on the local qualification, but one would need to be competent locally, and language is the biggest barrier to moving around Europe. So as Sachin has said, English is the language of business. But in order to live in another European jurisdiction, to live in Spain, live in France, live in Germany, one would need to be competent in the language. There is a European passport, the Mutual Recognition Directive. The CPA Ireland qualification is part of that directive. And if a CPA Ireland member wished to join the profession in Germany or in France or whatever, they would do so really only if they needed to audit. And they would have to take a test in local tax and law through the local language. So that's the shortest answer I can give to that, Jill.
Thank you very much, Eamon. Just when you mention Sachin's presentation, Sachin, you spoke about food, and it just so happens that my neighbour is actually a member of Institute of Chartered Accountants India as well. And on a daily basis, I smell this beautiful food coming in from next door. I do have a question that, Eamon, you may be able to answer, and Sachin, you might want to answer too, and that is, how does the presence of the ICAI chapter in Ireland help facilitate migration and the professional opportunities after qualifying with CPA?
I will go very briefly because Sachin is the expert here, but I think one thing stands out for me: role models, absolute role models in the ICAI Ireland chapter. They have the T-shirt. They have earned it. They have come to Ireland. They have made their home here, and they are in very impressive positions. And one thing Sachin forgot to mention was our love of cricket. And many of them are adding to their employers' cricket teams and adding their prowess. But but I think role models, people who have really earned their stripes in Irish business are integrated here and can actually really a hugely informative network. So I'll hand it over to Sachin.
Thanks very much. Even, when you're talking about the cricket, India, because Ireland is an associate member, and India team only visit the Ireland for the associate member, or they are visiting Ireland on 26th or 20th of June here. So it is a proud moment for all of us. But when it comes to the cricket, I will be wearing the Indian jersey, not the Ireland, but rest of the things. A chapter can help you when you need some information about the employer, or you need the information about the Ireland. But you have to work hard, or you have to approach the employer to get a job here, because we all are working. We sometimes somebody approaches ki there is a vacancy is there. So those vacancies, they, like all the big four, all the multinationals, they post it on their LinkedIn or they're on the companies. So like as a chapter, we don't have the database or something which we are working where we can put the job advertisement on our website or our Facebook page or LinkedIn. Ki these are the jobs are available, or you can apply for those jobs. Like if you get a LinkedIn premium member, then LinkedIn automatically we start sending the notification to you. These are the job rating matching to your CV. Please apply for these jobs. So as a chapter, like we will help you once you are able to secure a job to settle down in Ireland, because once some chartered accountants comes here, like myself or other colleagues generally meet them in the airport and help them to find the place, which they generally look for the information about the schools for the kids where they should live, or like how to commute in Ireland. Initial things which they need for next 5 or 10 days. After that, people. Things here, everybody is very friendly. It's not only Sachin, so they get lots of information from their colleagues in offices. So that's the way the chapter will be able to help. Or for the job, go to the Google, go search for the jobs, what are the jobs are available, and apply for those jobs. Just make sure, as a Caroline mentioned, make your CV job specific. Otherwise, your CV will not be, you have all the qualification, everything you have, but your CV might be lacking those words which the recruiter or the employer is looking for. So make sure your CV is tailored for the job. And I'm pretty much sure once you do that, you will be able to secure a job.
Okay, thank you, Sachin. We have run slightly over about 20 minutes, so I hope the 1,600 delegates on today's webinar don't mind, and that you've received loads of information on coming to Ireland. So I would like to thank today's speakers. Thank you, Caroline, Eamon, Sachin, Kelsey, and Akhilesh, and a particular thanks to you, Ambassador, for giving up so much of your valuable time in presenting and attending today's event. On behalf of my colleagues Eamon and Caroline, thank you, Aniket and Mudit, for hosting today's event. We appreciate the opportunity to address members of Chartered Accountants of India. Finally, thank you all for attending. I hope you find the event beneficial and now equipped with the information on becoming a member of CP Ireland, the relationship between Ireland and India, the employment opportunities available, the visa process, and what it's like to live and work in our lovely country. If anyone would like more information on becoming a member, the full process can be found on our website. And again, just to repeat the email address that Eamon gave you a little while ago, the email address is mra@cpaireland.ie. So I think that's it from us, unless anyone, Aniket, you'd like to say a few words, if that's it.
That's all. Thank you very, very much. And we look forward to this partnership with CPI Ireland going further. And 4 of our members exploring the wonderful country of Ireland and enjoying Irish hospitality that Sachinji was so, proudly professing and propagating. So look forward to interacting with all of you in the future and taking this partnership forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good
Thank you so much, His Excellency. Thank you, sir.
From my side also, very warm greetings to everyone. It was very enriching presentation from the different speakers. I myself learned a lot, and I really look forward to keeping in touch. In some areas, some sectors, I put in IT and medical healthcare segment, I'm being approached by the different recruiters that they have difficulty in getting the required number of highly competent and qualified applicants. So, does CPA also have issues of getting enough number of applicants, or you?
Caroline, you're on mute, Caroline.
Yes. Yeah, so again, yes, it is very much a candidate market at the moment. There is a shortage of candidates. We are, I suppose, we do currently have a trainee placement service CPA. Luckily, we've been able to help employers source candidates, but I am aware we don't have anything in the qualified space yet. So at the moment, we do a lot of advertising. So yeah, we're holding our own at the moment. But again, I know the qualified space is definitely challenging.
No, I think when I come to CPA Ireland, then we can discuss if there's anything we can do to facilitate the whole process and also make it more convenient for Irish friends and also from the Indian side. Like in some sectors, someone in IT and healthcare. So I'm in touch with people here and I'm working with these people in India. So similarly, if there's any issue regarding making it easier, more convenient, and and expanding the catchment area of applicants. So I'll be happy to come and we can work out some practical modalities.
That'd be fantastic.
Thank you so much. It was a great learning experience for me, and I learned myself so much, and I'm really touched.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.